Well, we got good news. We got good news. I put some transmission fluid in it and I let it sit for about maybe an hour or so. And just came out here and just kind of bumped it over. You can see I done blew transmission fluid everywhere, all over the place. And then I pour a little bit in there and I let it sit. So then came out about another hour later, and now we got compression. And I'll show you. I think this is number 1. I even messed up my other compression gauge. It won't go back to 0, so I had to put another gauge that I had on this hose here. Let me put that there. Now I'm feeling kind of good. I think the only thing that was wrong with it just had stuck rings. Either stuck rings or stuck valves. So maybe that'll stay there. Flip it over and show you guys what I came up with. Tripod's not acting right for me tonight. Everything's covered in transmission fluid from me constantly letting it spray everywhere. But I'll show you. Blue transmission fluid everywhere. Oh, I don't have it screwed all the way in. Oh, it was pushing down on the button. It was pushing down on the relief button, letting the compression come out. I'm like, what is going on here? Alright. Something screwy going on. Now we're way on up the compression. Try it again. So now we about at 100, sometimes 90, sometimes 100. You can see that. So we getting good on that cylinder there. That's cylinder number 1. All right, let's go to cylinder number 2. I still think the rings are kind of stuck, but I think if we can ever get it to crank up, it'll free those up real nicely. We should have some good compression. Now this is cylinder 2. Kind of had you too bright there. That's what the problem was. All right, let's see from cylinder 2. We on up there, about 100. We get up to about 120, stop at like 100. So we slowly coming up. Slowly coming up. So let's go to number 3. I put a little PB blaster in there too. Just kind of mixed it. This is number 3. Yeah. Got some trash falling down. I want to go in number 1 hole. Alright. That right there's got 150. It's like out of sight. It's got 150, so it's starting to come up pretty good. A little bit high, but now there's no transmission fluid down in the cylinders because I let it all blow out. And so this would be number 4. Number 4, let's see what number 4 does. Kind of hard to see. Number 4, I'll try and put it, well, that's number 4, and it's at 180. Wow. That one's even higher. Well, it's got compression. It might still have a little bit of transmission fluid around the rings. It's just going to take time to wash down, but it does have compression now. At first it had like, I think it had like 60. Wasn't really hitting on nothing. So what we could do, we could put the plugs in it and turn it over and see what it sounds like with all the plugs in it. And if we can just get fire where we can actually get it to hit off some fuel or something. I'm just going to stick the plugs back in it. Now another thing I'm concerned about, it didn't have any antifreeze in it, but I can see something at the bottom of the radiator. I don't know if it's water. It don't look like antifreeze though. So I'm kind of hoping that it don't have a, I really hope it don't have a blow head gasket or a cracked block from it sitting up with whatever is down in the radiator or in the block. It's all the way down at the bottom, so hopefully it wasn't enough to just sit inside the block and crack it. I don't see any freeze plugs out, but we won't be able to know that until we actually crank it and put some coolant to it. It could have had a firing problem. They could have parked it because they wasn't getting any fire to the spark plugs. I mean, it's a possibility. They could have just kept messing with it, put new distributor cap, rotor button, and wires and plugs, and couldn't get it to fire, and it just gave up. At first I was thinking maybe because the driver's side seat is so broke and the driver's side door is so broke that they couldn't drive the doggone thing because of the seat laid back and the door won't stay closed. Maybe they parked it because of that, and at the time they couldn't find a parts car. So let's see what she does now. Oh, she sounds good now. She sounds real good. it ain't spinning over super duper fast. So now we got compression. Just by chance, let's see if we got any fire to a spark plug. Stick a spark plug in it again. Let's see, we already got one out. It's a little hard for me to see. Oh, coil wire here's hooked up. She sounds good now though. Still no fire. So we got to figure out what is going on with this ignition system. I believe it could be in this ECU over here to the side. I believe this ECU box could be bad. This controls the whole, I think, fuel injection system and the firing. It had 12 volts over here. One time it had it. I mean, now it ain't got nothing. So I'm definitely believing it's in this ECU box. So this car has really been biting me in the butt these last couple weeks. As I left off with the video, we did get compression, but we didn't have any fire to the plug. So with that being said, I have picked up a whole bunch of computers off of eBay and junkyards, and I finally got this thing to fire. Let's get a rundown what happened. So this car has a ASD relay. It's an automatic shutdown relay, which is here. I dissected it, and what it does is if it gets hot, too hot, or something electrical goes bad, this relay will close off your power to the computer that sends a signal to the distributor Hall effect sensor, which I bought a new one of those. I currently got the old one in there. So this is the old Hall effect sensor here. And as the distributor turns, there's a plate under there, and it has some notches in it, and it passes through this little pickup coil, this little pickup sensor here, and a magnet. So we replaced that, and then I just said, you know what, let's just go through the wiring. So I just went ahead and just completely removed all the wire, I guess you call it conduit or whatever, and just start going through all the wire from the computer all the way around to the coil. And what happened was I was getting a negative 12 volt constant to the ignition coil, which is right there. So I said, that ain't right. So I got like 10 million books on this car. Each book tells you something different. And got computers, started plugging them up, playing with them. Tonight, after 2 weeks of messing with this car, we finally got spark to the spark plug. What had happened was, when the mouse was chewing on these wires, he broke the signal wire that runs right here all the way through the harness around into the distributor, which is down there. It's this gray and black wire here. So I fixed that part. I didn't know, as he was tugging and pulling, he broke the connector. There's like a round connector that connects to this, that slides over the pin in the computer. He broke that off, so it was just sitting inside of the plug, not making a good connection. So I got to messing around, and I had the relay cover off, and I got to wiggling the wires, just wiggling the hell out of them. And I heard the relay release the, I think that's the automatic choke, or I can't remember what you call that sensor on the throttle body. It started making noises, and I said, wait a minute, there's a short. So I just took that wire, cut that piece off, and I just crammed it down in the hole down there. And I had the spark plug near me. I was leaning over in there because I got a hot wire running from the starter solenoid. Hit the battery terminal, and it shocked the living daylights out of me. So now we got fire. Let's turn the key on. Key's already on. And here we go. So now we finally got fire to the spark plugs. So now the fuel pump, I think, is completely garbage. I can hear it clicking in the back as I was kind of pressing in on this relay, but I think it's locked up. So now what I need to do is get all the spark plug wires on, and before I can crank it, because I don't want it to backfire like if I pour gas in the throttle body, I need to do something with all these wires over here. I got to get all these wires back tidied up, covered up, out the way, because they're hanging down right over the power steering pump pulley. I've been kind of tucking them back down there. So it looks like a spaghetti warehouse up on the hood. I even went to the inside of the car, and I got the dash all pulled apart, the fuse box out, the information center out, the radio cluster out. I mean, I went through all these wires, and it was just that one single wire that goes into the computer, and that is the Hall Effect distributor signal wire. You got 3 wires on the distributor. You got one that reads your temperature sensor. You got an orange wire that runs to the Hall Effect sensor, and you got that gray and black wire, which is your signal wire, which I've been jumping out and everything. So I'm gonna stop rattling on. I'm gonna try and run up to parts place, get something to cover all that up. We'll get the spark plugs back wired up, and we'll dump some fuel off in that throttle body. And doggone it, let's hear this Daytona crank up. Okay, so I got a lot of the wiring all tucked away from the throttle body that ran across there. I got some wire conduit, loom, whatever you call it, and got the wires all nice and neat. Got to do a little bit more back here, but these wires here on this harness for the throttle body, some of them are kind of dry rotted and melted together. I'm assuming this car had a electrical problem anyway, so I'm just going to replace that harness. I only got just 2 sensors hooked up on the throttle body. So we're just going to trickle some gas down the throttle body, and we're going to see what that does, and hopefully this thing fire off for a few minutes anyway until we get a real fuel system hooked up. So I got the spark plug wires on, and it's all wired up. So get you guys set up here, and we'll see what this thing's gonna do. Hopefully she fires right off and runs like she's supposed to for a few minutes anyway. Even though we don't have any gas pumping into the throttle body, but we'll trickle some off in there and see what happens. So I got some premixed gas, a little heavy premixed gas I had sitting around. So turn the key on, it's in neutral. I'm gonna pour this a little bit down in there. The oil pressure should be primed up as much as I've been spinning it over without it firing. Okay, here we go. Hit off. Trying. Battery's getting weak. She's crying. She's got a lot of that transmission fluid down in the cylinders where I had got the rings freed. So it's got to burn all that off the top. Plus we're probably just flooding it real bad. So we're going to probably have to get our fuel system hooked up. Could take a spray bottle. Maybe we can spray some gas in there, kind of like the throttle body does. Whoa, we got a backfire. We're going to have to get some real fuel going through it in order for it to actually crank and run on its own. Let's try it one more time. Plus the battery's getting weak. She wants to run. We just don't have the proper fuel pressure going to it. Maybe we can spray at it. Maybe that will do it. Maybe that gas is kind of old. It's been sitting around for a while. Battery's dead. So let the battery charge up and maybe we'll try it again. If not, we're gonna have to just go ahead and get some fuel going to it the way it's supposed to be. But it did hit off. That's a good sign. And so we know the fire is there. So I'm gonna let that battery charge up and we'll get back to it. Alright, I just went ahead and just slid another battery in there. Let it start or cool off for a minute. So let's see what we get now. Come on, baby. Just need the right fuel to go to it. Probably gonna be the last try on this. But we know it wants to run. It runs. It runs. It runs, good people. Woo, look at the cloud of smoke. That is all that transmission fluid and brake cleaner and bad gas and whoever knows. But it runs. And it didn't sound bad either. It wasn't knocking or anything. It sounded pretty good. Let's see if we can pour a little bit more in there. I was going to try and catch it. Oh yeah, she is going to run. She is going to run. So next thing we need to do is get us a new fuel pump. And the gas tank has a slight little hole in it that's been leaking gas for the last couple of weeks. I'm probably gonna have to drop the tank. I thought about just putting a new fuel pump in the tank because the fuel pump has a strainer on it, and just pour some fresh gas off in there and just see if we can just get it to run more off of the fuel pump. And then I'll probably just buy a new gas tank for it. But motor sounds real good. I mean, there's no knocking. Of course, that smoke is going to clear out after it burns all that stuff out of the cylinders. But yeah, she sounds good. So that's just a quick update on the Daytona project. The junkyard Daytona. So I'm gonna start putting a lot of stuff back together in the interior now that we found the wiring problem at the computer. Of course, I had 3 computers and I was like, ain't no way all 3 computers can be bad, but I've already tested the first one that you probably seen laying up here, and this is another one that I just went ahead and stuck down in the hole. So anyway, guys, y'all just keep watching, keep looking out for the junkyard Daytona. I'm gonna get it on the road. Y'all have a good one. If I don't see you later on this weekend, I'll get back with you a little bit later during the week. One more time, just one more time. Victory start. All right, enough of that.